yeah, I don't use drugs anymore. So, but life is still going on. Right. Hi everyone. We're on the 3rd episode of the 12 steps. Previous 2 episodes, I've gone through step 1 to 4, the first episode, and then 5 to 8. And then now this episode, I'm going to be talking about steps 9 to steps 12. So yes, so step 9. So step 8, before, we basically wrote a list of all the people that you are willing to make amends to. You've not started your apologies or anything like that. You're just willing to make those amends now. So step 9 is all about making those amends, actually putting the action in. So with step 9, I wanted to cover a few things. Is first of all, the difference between indirect and direct amends. So direct amends is literally going to somebody that you have harmed, or going to a place or wherever, whoever it may be, and making those amends, which is obviously apologising for the harm you've caused that person. Now, it's not just a straight up, I am sorry, because let's be real, if you're somebody who's in addiction or has been in addiction, the amount of times you have said, I'm sorry, if like we could get £1 for every time we said sorry, we'd be billionaires. So it can't just be a simple, I am sorry. You've got to listen to them and understand what that harm did to them. So when you're going to somebody and you're apologising for that harm, you want to give them a chance to speak and give them an opportunity to tell you exactly how it harmed them, because then you can really understand it from their point of view and really put yourselves in their shoes. Hopefully it will help you grow as a person, because you don't want to put that person through harm again, and you don't want to put anybody through what they've gone through again. So it's just another reminder, right, this is why I don't want to act on that defect. I want to act in that asset. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I don't want to do that again to somebody. And it's really acknowledging, the harm you've caused, really, and acknowledging it. Therefore, you can move on from it and make those changes. So that's the direct amends. Then there's the indirect amends. Indirect amends is where you aren't just saying sorry, it's all about making those changes. So again, like I was saying before, the amount of times we've said sorry in our lives is obscene amount of times. So the indirect amends are so important to your growth and your journey, because this is where your behaviours start changing, because your indirect amends is you actually putting in the action in to make those changes, so you won't make those harms again. So for instance, my family, like the amount of times I've lied to my mum and I've manipulated her and I've just done horrible things. My indirect amends was really showing up for recovery and showing up for myself was actually an indirect amends to her, because by me doing this work on myself, by me going to meetings when I didn't want to go to a meetings, doing step work when I didn't want to do step work, when I wanted to use a defect to make my life a little bit easier, but I chose to use my assets instead. Those are all equivalent to indirect amends, because I'm being the person that my mum has always wanted me to be. And that then has a ripple effect, is giving her more trust in me, giving her peace of mind, and allows her to get on with her life, and she's not having to worry about me. So that's the difference between direct and indirect amends. Then I wanted to also discuss as well with step 9 is that you can make amends to people who have passed away. One thing that I've been taught is, I think it's a really nice, kind of bit spiritual, bit hippie, but I think it's lovely, was where you can write a letter to that person, and then you do a little ceremony where you can write the letter, and then read it out loud to somebody, maybe to your sponsor, to somebody in your family, whoever, or even just to the universe. And then you can burn it, and then that's done. Then you've done your amends, and then again you go back to your indirect amends, and you make those choices, and you change those behaviours, and you don't do what you did to that person again. Well, you try not to. You try your hardest. We're all human. We all make mistakes. So this is not a thing where you're never going to do something again, because that's not realistic. Then there's like community or financial amends. So financial amends could be obviously paying someone back, clearing off your debts, paying a company, just getting all your finances in order, really. And then there's the community amends, which is like an area. So if you're somebody who may have stolen from a load of houses, if you burgled a load of houses, used to shoplift or whatever it may be, you can't really go to those people individually, because also as well, you could put yourself in a situation where you end up going to jail. It could cause more harm than it needs to be. So you can go to the council and maybe volunteer or something like that, or go and help a charity that's within that community, something along those lines, to like giving back to the community that you took from. And then there's another really, really important thing with step 9 is, like, I've had it with my sponsees where they think it's like a tick list, and they're like, right, I've done this person, done this person, done this person, right, I'm done, no more. And that is just not the case, because I still know that there are people that I have harmed in my addiction that I still haven't put on my list because I've forgotten about them. But I just know, because there are so many things that I've done. No normal person can remember them all. So the amends process could go on for years. Like, I know there's somebody that I know from the rooms, and they had an amends they had on their list for over 25 years, and they bumped into the person, I think in Tesco's, and were able to give the amends 25 years later from when they first put the name on the list. So yeah, it's an ongoing process. It's not a tick list. And then the way you would work that in your everyday life, just reverting back to the first episode when I was talking about it's like a guide to life, these steps, is that when you've done something wrong, it's a case of you acknowledge it, write it down, or you acknowledge it in your head, which is your step 8, and then your step 9, you make that amends with that person or wherever you are, or to whoever you are, and then you put in the action of trying not to do that again. So that's how you work it in your everyday life. So that's step 9. Then there's step 10. So step 10 is another inventory. So this inventory is something that you get told to do at night time, especially when you're first doing your steps. I personally don't do this anymore. I probably should, but I'm not perfect. I don't work a perfect program, but I do find myself now, I think I'm at a point where I'm quite self-aware when I know that I've done something wrong, or I do like kind of a check-in within myself of like how I'm feeling, how my day's been, etc. So I kind of do a step 10 without me even really realising. But step 10, when you first are doing the steps, is a personal inventory that you do at night, and it basically, you go through some questions of like, were you kind today to people? Did you lie to somebody? Did you manipulate somebody? Did you act on a certain defect? It helps you become that really self-aware person, and it helps you become in tune with yourself. When I talk about these steps, getting you to know who you are, this is the kind of work that helps you get to know who you are, because when you're looking at yourself internally, and looking at your behaviours as well, and the way you've thought about people, or if you've judged somebody and it doesn't sit right with you, you can make those changes, and then you're growing from that every time. So yeah, your step 10 is another inventory that you can do. And usually with what my sponsor did, like, because you've got a list of questions in your step 10, but my sponsor gave me a few questions, just I think 5 questions to answer every night, and it just got me in a routine. And that's kind of what I really do nowadays, is just the check-in to see how my day's been really. And like, when I've got a gut feeling, if I've acted on a defect or I've done something wrong, that I get this gut feeling now, and it just makes me feel like something ain't right, and I want to make that change now. But at the beginning, you're obviously unaware of all of that stuff, so it's really good to that step 10's there, because it helps you get into that routine of checking in with yourself and getting in tuned with yourself. So yeah, so that's step 10. Then step 11 and 12. So step 11 is really about like your prayer and meditation. So throughout all your steps, it always comes back to handing everything over to your higher power, getting faith within your higher power, trying to understand your higher power. And step 11 is the step where you really get in tuned with that higher power, whatever that may be of yours. I, again, like I said, struggle with this because of my background. Some days I think I should just be Islamic. I should pray 5 times a day. If I did that, then everything would be okay. Then the next day, I'm like, no, I love the universe. I love crystals, looking at starry nights. Like, then I think I'm in the meeting room and I'm like, the energy in this room, like, that's what the higher power is. It's just the energy in the room. So it just constantly changes for me. But take away all of that, I do have a faith in that there is something, and I have a pure belief that there is something greater than myself doing something that I cannot see, I don't have a clue about, I have no control over, but is really like looking after me, because I could not get clean. I could not stop using. I was absolutely destroying my life, and for some odd reason these past 3.5 years my life has completely changed. And yes, I've put a load of work in, and yes, I've done a lot of action, but there's something greater there. I don't know what it is, because I don't know how the person over 3.5 years ago couldn't do what I done. Like, what is that change? Something different. So I do have that faith, and step 11 really helps you try and get in tuned with that higher power, whatever of yours it could be. People as well, few things for you. So instead of, if you're going through this journey, I know a lot of people mention the word God, and that may scare you off. What I used to do is change that to good orderly direction, and that is your behaviours changing. So every time I wanted to do something good, is good in orderly direction, I'm moving on, I'm moving away from my past self, and I'm growing into this person. So yeah, that's just a little thing that worked for me. But like I said, it changes every other day. So don't be hard on yourself if you don't know what it may be. The step 12 is carrying a message. So I'm actually doing step 12, doing this right now. I'm trying to carry a message of recovery to others. The whole reason why I wanted to start this YouTube was to help others and share a message of my own experience and my own strength, and hopefully give people hope who could be struggling, whether it's ketamine addiction or any addiction. I really, really, really want to help others and help people see that there is a way out. I understand so much how lonely it is when you're in that darkest depths of addiction. So yeah, I'm trying to do step 12 now, which is carry that message. Yeah, so yeah, that's the 12 steps. And To be fair, I'll probably go into more detail with these steps through different episodes, etc. And I do want to go into more detail on how the steps are like a guide to my life now and how I incorporate them into my life now, like away from using drugs, because yeah, I don't use drugs anymore, so, but life is still going on. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.